Good morning, people. Today we're going to be looking at creative writing. So I'm going to be looking at the next few lessons, looking at this idea of creative writing and how we create better characters. And the idea behind this is that we create universes rather than stories. Okay, now part of the problem is you think about a story, it's one character, one place, then you move on, different character, different place. And what we want to try and do is we want to try and create a more rounded story. A good writer will have a sense of their character in more places than just what happens in the story. There'll be things, details in the story that they know that we as readers never find out. Okay, they will have a sense of what the character did before the story started, and they'll have a sense of where their character goes next. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at today. Is we're going to be creating a new best friend forever. Okay, so first and foremost, right? What is the eye colour of a football hooligan? Write your answers down. Okay, you're going to need a pen and paper for this lesson, by the way, so be ready. What is the eye colour of a football hooligan? Okay, now the correct answer is a black eye. Okay, not a blue eye, not a green eye, eye colour tells you very little about a character. Most of the time that we give our character details, it's to make them feel real. We say we've got blonde hair and blue eyes, but so does sort of 5% of the world's population, 10% of the world's population. The fact is that we need to be a little bit more specific. If you were in Norway and said, oh, they had blonde hair and blue eyes, that's almost half of everybody you're going to meet. Okay? So therefore, to give someone really obvious characteristics doesn't create an interesting character. To create an interesting character, you've got to pick out the thing that makes them different from other people. So, why does the football hooligan get a black eye? Well, the answer is dead simple. He's been in a fight. Okay, he's a fighter. He's a violent person, and that's shown just by the fact that this guy has a bruise. Now, it might be that he's the victim. Okay, but really fundamentally, what's happening here is that you have a character who has been involved in some form of violence, and so it gives you a sense of this character, even though you do or don't know that he's a football hooligan. If I came into school one day and I was sporting a black eye, you guys would have a lot of questions about how I got it. It's an interesting story. Okay, and so therefore, by giving him a black eye, we give a sense that there is something to find out about him without saying he was a football hooligan. Okay, we're trying to create a character that's a bit more interesting. So, just to start you off, some interesting facts about eye colours. 75% of all humans have brown eyes. So 3/4 of any human being you meet will have brown eyes. Now, it's a little bit different in Northern Europe, where perhaps the balance is a little bit different. 8 to 10% of the planet have blue eyes. Most of those are in Northern Europe. So therefore, if you're wandering around Southern Italy, like I used to live, you're not going to meet many people with blue eyes. If you go around Scotland, you will meet more of them. Only 2% of the population have green eyes. Okay, and fewer than 1% have red or violet eyes, or have a condition called heterochromia, where they have different coloured eyes, like, for example, David Bowie, or multicoloured eyes, like, for example, Mr. Reed, who has green eyes on the outside and yellow eyes in the middle. Now, of those facts, which one creates an interesting idea? Well, David Bowie ended up with different eye colours because he had a head knock when he was young, okay, before his eyes had settled into their final colour. One of the eyes changed colour, the other one didn't. Huskies often have heterochromia. But sometimes it's just striking. It's something that stands out and something that's unique, and it makes the character feel more real than saying his eyes were blue, his eyes were green. You know, to get this idea of different colours within them. Okay, and that makes the character feel a little bit more rounded. So the objective for us is we're going to try and create characters that are three-dimensional, not just the usual two-dimensional. He was a boy, he was 12, he was at school. You know, we're trying to think of an idea of creating a character that's perhaps a little bit more, I don't know, someone that we know. Okay, so we'll take you through how to create a character that is unique and three-dimensional. We're going to help you bring your character to life by putting them in realistic situations. Now, realistic to start off with, and we might put them into more interesting situations as we move on. We'll take you through how to create realistic settings. Remember, a good story has to be believable, it has to be plausible. Even if it's set in a world in the future, people still need to eat and drink and all the rest of it. So that needs to be a feature of what we're doing, okay? And we'll show you tricks for planning a narrative for a short story as well. So how to get a better short story by taking time to construct the story before you write it. There's no such thing as a good story that doesn't have some sort of plan. Even if that plan is added afterwards, it must have a plan, okay? So, I want you to think of a character from a book or a TV show or a movie that you love, okay? So a few seconds, think of this character, right? If you want, you can write down a few notes while you're doing this, okay? So write the character at the top. Okay, now imagine that character is in your classroom with you. How do they behave? Who do they want to sit beside? What kind of learner are they? Are you even your character's friend? Okay, and what would they be like in the dinner hall? Have a think about these different things. Can you picture what that character looks like? Okay, so let's say it's SpongeBob. What's he doing in the classroom? Or if it's Thor, Thor is probably giving the teacher a lot of cheek and a lot of charm, but not doing very much work. If it's Captain America, he's answering all the questions, and even when people tell him that shh, because he's being a geek, he turns around and tells me wrong because he can't stand bullies. Iron Man probably turned up late in sunglasses and is telling the teacher what to do. Okay? Luke Skywalker's there. He's a whiny, annoying little yaff in the corner saying, "Why do I have to do my homework? I want to play my Xbox." Something like that. Okay? So we can picture these characters in that place. You can take them and put them there. The reason you can do that is because these characters, we have a sense of more than just where they are on the screen. They exist. You can imagine them existing in a place beyond that TV screen that you see them on. Okay? So you're going to create your own new best friend forever. The characters well rounded, you know how they'll behave in other settings. So, I mean, Friends is a really famous TV show, but Joey and Ross from the TV show Friends are friends, but they would never have been friends in high school. Joey, first of all, didn't go to high school, but second of all, if he did, he would have picked on Ross. He would have thought Ross was someone to laugh at and mock, okay? And to be a good writer, you need to have that level of knowledge about your characters, even if that knowledge never actually appears in a story, okay? You have to be able to answer these questions, okay? So, I would like you just now to get yourself a piece of paper, okay, or a page in your jotter. Now, you're going to come back to this, you're going to add to it, so make sure there's plenty of space. If you've got a big jotter, 2 full pages. If you've got a big piece of A4 paper, it's got 2 sides. You will fill it. Don't write big, write small, because this is about information. The more information we put in our planning sheets, the easier it is to do our story. Think back to when you were doing things like essays. The more you do of the preparation work, the more work you do on quotations, the better the final essay is, because you're having to do less work to create the essay. You do the planning, it's easier to create the story, because you're not doing the hard stuff while you write the story, while you make it perfect. Okay, so you're going to answer the questions on the following slides. Okay, hopefully you've got a pen and paper there. Okay, don't write down ridiculous ideas. All right, good stories, we identify the characters that are normal. So Luke Skywalker in Star Wars is an ordinary teenager and a farm boy who just wants to play with his pals. If they're not an ordinary person, then they're somebody who's had some sort of trial or challenge to face. So, for example, Iron Man was almost destroyed and killed by his own weapons. Batman was orphaned at a young age. And so all these guys have something that helps you engage with them. You can give your character weird details, but it has to be a weirdness that you understand. So, they listen to weird music, or they like to dress in a particular way that makes them stand out. They don't, that sort of thing. Make your characters significant and weird and unusual, but don't be nasty to them. It's one that you understand, okay, so it can help create that character. And your character's going to go to a lot of different places. So, a 97-year-old NASA mathematician who's retired is not really a good character for you to use. Keep it someone that you would know. So, your age, the age of an older brother, maybe the age of your parents if you really want to go that far, but keep it within the realms of something that you properly understand. You probably don't understand what it's like to be a 75-year-old billionaire. Okay, so don't write from that person. Try and use a character that you can identify with. And trust me, every time I've done this exercise, somebody's tried to do something really silly. They're a ninja who makes nuclear bombs for fun. You'll get bored of that idea. Okay, keep it simple and make it work. Okay, the story is what's interesting. Don't go crazy with your characters. Go crazy with the story. Okay, you can be outlandish when you have a character that you can really make work. Okay. So, are you ready? Pens in your hands? Right. What age is your character? Okay. You can say if they're male or female or however you choose to describe their gender, but what age is your character? Okay. Remember, nothing too ridiculous. A 2-year-old is no use. You can't do anything with that story. It's something that you can put in different places and get to know. Okay, next up, describe their favourite item of clothing. I'm wearing mine for you. This is my favourite hoodie. Okay, I think this just hoodie is so cool. You know, a total grungy camo sort of look. I love it. Okay, this is my favourite hoodie. It's camouflage, but it's not really army. It's all style. It's all clever badges, American football badges. You know, pockets. I've got one glove. I don't know where the other one is. Okay, I've probably got poo bags in my pocket or sweets or wrappers or something. Describe that item of clothing in as much detail as you can. Okay. What would your character pick for their lunch at the local deli, school dinner, Subway, Granary, Franco's, Sweetnicks, whatever it is that you use locally? Okay, whatever place you go to buy lunch, you know, what would you get from that place? What would your character get from that place? Okay, and think about the things that could tell you. If they have a lot of money, they might go for something really big and flashy, a 12-inch foot-long Italian BMT with an extra large Coke, bag of crisps, and a cookie. Okay, whereas if they are less well off, they might go for the kids pack. You know, ham and cheese, please. You know, that's a Subway experience. If they're going to local deli, the sort of cheese sandwich is the cheapest option, whereas the hot chili tuna baguette with a portion of fries is more expensive. So what they buy tells you a bit about their character. Okay. Describe a picture or a poster that you have on your wall. Okay. Now this can come from the real world. Okay, it can be a real poster, a thing that you've seen. But describe that poster. Okay. Now again, I'm going to give you some space here, but pause after each question so that you're ready to move on. Just pause, answer your question, then go to the next one. That way you don't have to worry about keeping up with it. Okay, so that's the first 4 questions. There's more. Number 1, what are the last 3 songs that your character listened to? Music is a really good way of telling you a bit about a character. Okay, and if you think about your favourite movies, they're very often tied in with music as well. Okay, so what does that music tell you about somebody? Somebody who listens to Nirvana is probably going to be a bit more angry and what you call introspective, or always looking into themselves. Somebody who listens to Ariana Grande is going to be more pop and fun and so on. People who listen to music their grandparents listen to are probably going to be a little bit more mature, whereas somebody who only listens to the latest pop acts in the chart is going to have something very different. Okay, so think about the last 3 songs that you listen to and what they might tell you about a character. Okay, next, they have a niggling pain. Nothing big, just a little thing. And just I think, what caused that? Just a sentence, nothing much, a niggling pain. So we're talking about a sore shoulder or a cut on their finger or a bump on the top of their head. And it doesn't have to be anything significant, it's just there, okay? Something that slows them down, something they're aware of, something that makes them know they're alive, okay? Yeah? They've been in the PlayStation too long in their thumbs or so. Something like that. It tells you a little bit about the character and what they do. Okay, next one. Now remember to pause if you need to. They have a guilty secret. So what is it? What is their guilty secret? You know, they just stole a tenner from their mum's purse, or you know, they copied somebody's homework, or told a lie and a friend got in trouble. Something. Be a bit more specific than that. Okay? And then once you give them a guilty secret, give them an ambition. Right? What is it they want? And it doesn't have to be, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a multimillionaire businessman, or I want to go to the moon. All I mean is that they have something they want to achieve at some point in the future. Small, big, it could be a career, it could be about money, it could just be something as simple as getting out of their bed and getting out of the house for a day. All of these are what we count as an ambition, and they tell you something about the character. Okay? You know, a character who aspires to be a doctor will have a very different attitude in school than somebody who just wants to leave school at the age of 16 and doesn't care what they do. So that ambition can tell you a bit about their character. Okay? we keep going. Now remember, pause if you need to. Next one there, what hand do they write with? Okay, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it matters. Okay, left-handed people will know this. It's hard to write. You smudge your ink when you write the long way round. Things aren't built for you. Hammers are the only tool that are really designed for left-handed people. Give them a very particular skill or ability, not a superpower. It doesn't even have to be useful. Like being able to do a kickflip on a skateboard has no lifelong applications beyond being pretty cool. They can do a backflip from standing. Great. That's no use, but it's really, really very cool thing to be able to do. Or they could be a martial artist or a musician or a singer, but they don't like something like that. Give them a skill or ability that they have, okay, but not a superpower. And if you forget inside their head, one useless bit of knowledge, something they know that is of no use to anyone. All right, it doesn't even have to be true. Something they believe to be true. I used to believe that all polar bears were left-handed. Turns out it's not true. That's actually, this is the useless bit of information. It was an email sent out in the early days of the internet to prove how marketing worked. They sent out emails with random facts to see how far they would get around and see how far people could get to prove that the internet was a good way of marketing. Okay. Next one is a little bit more interesting. Okay. Who or what is their nemesis? Now, the nemesis is the enemy, the thing that brings a hero low, okay? So your hero has something to be proud of or something that they want to achieve, and that's called hubris, okay? But sometimes that hubris stretches too far, and so therefore they must be put in their place. So they have a nemesis, somebody who always stops them achieving their greatness, okay? So in this case, it would be that kid in the class who always beats on the test, that kid who always beats in the race, that kid who's always, got that little bit of money, got that little bit better clothes, that sort of thing. Anything about them. Who's their nemesis? And, who is it and why are they the nemesis, right? What is it about this person that makes them a nemesis? Okay? Explain why your person has this rivalry with them. All right? And then, I think this is the last exercise for today. I want you now to go through your own pockets, okay, or your school bag, and write down 5 things that only you would have in. Okay, so things that you would only find in your bag. Write down somebody else's that wouldn't have in. Okay, so not a pencil or a jotter. Every school bag has that. Something in there that only you would have. It might even be things that are missing. Things that should be there. They can be the source of a story. Now, those 5 things that you find in there, they're now in your best friend forever's pockets, if that's okay. If it doesn't work, don't put it in there, right? I would now like you to add 5 other items to their pockets that only they would have. It could be in a school bag, it could be, and so on. It could be items of clothing, things like that, okay? Badges. And now there are rules. No phones, right? It's not a unique detail. Everybody has a phone. I know my phone's my best friend and mine's just different from everybody else because I've got a sparkly case. No phones, right? Nothing to do with it. I don't care, okay? It will only be unique if they chose not to have one. Okay, that's when a phone becomes unique. Otherwise, everybody's got a phone. The not having one is the interesting thing. And second of all, no weapons. All right, no knives, no nunchucks. They don't have a gun. All right, none of that. I don't care what their person is. They have none of that. Okay, no weapons. Nothing convenient. Okay, just things that everybody has. And if you think everybody carries a knife, then we need to have a conversation. All right, this is not the Wild West. We're not in America. Okay. Now, if you've answered all of those questions, I would now like you to go and have a go at this exercise. Use pictures from old magazines, catalogues, websites, etc. to create a composite photograph what you think your character might look like. You can Photoshop it if you want, if you've got the tech to do that. Okay? Who would you cast to play your film? So if you want to cast a young Robert De Niro, for example, then you can do that. It's totally fine. It's to help you picture your character. It doesn't have to be that he could actually play your 16-year-old character. Okay? It might be that you choose, a character who isn't famous now but is famous or was in a movie that you liked that's from a long time ago. Go for it. It doesn't matter. It's to help you visualise the character. It doesn't have to be, well, they're 75, so you can't use them. That's not how it works. Okay? So try and create a composite picture. Use magazines, go and look for the kind of clothes they wear. Build a picture up of your character so you can see what they really look like. Okay, but only if you've done the other exercise. The picture comes last, okay? And then once it's done, get it all on a piece of paper. I'd like you to send a photograph of it to me. Does that sound good? Okay. So you can go through the video and play it slowly if you want. Okay, tomorrow we're going to be looking at some micro writing and we're putting that character into some short stories. Okay, so until tomorrow, I shall say tatty bye. See you later, folks.